I'm going to start this video by admitting a watch mistake. Sometimes I look back on a watch that I've sold and I miss it. I regret selling it. And this is one of those watches. Back in 2022, I bought the Superocean 44 from Breitling as soon as it was released to the public. I just loved the turquoise color, bright and bold, thin, legible, comfortable, very distinctive with that retro design, very adjustable, just plain cool. And you know what? In the years since, I sold it and I moved on to other watches because that's what I do. It doesn't matter to me what watch it is in my collection. Everything eventually is sold and turned into new watches for me to try and enjoy, which are then sold. And it's just this cycle that perpetuates that is not the norm for watch collectors. Most watch collectors, they don't do stuff like that. They're more normal than I am, but I'm one of those crazy ones, and that's how I go about the hobby. So I bought the 44. I enjoyed the heck out of the turquoise dial, and eventually I moved on. And anytime I look at pictures of it or video clips, it's a watch that I miss, that I regret selling, that I wish I had on my wrist at this moment. Now, in this video, I'd like to examine a candidate for a rebuy. This is a Superocean 44, but done in the olive green color. And I have a soft spot for a green dialed Breitling. I think they work with the color exceptionally well. You can see I'm wearing the sunburst green version of the Chronomat chronograph. I know other brands do green very well, but it just seems more often than not Breitling hits when they do a green dial. So let's take a look at the details of the Superocean 44, and then I'll end with why I think this is kind of a misunderstood model and why it doesn't get the love, the respect, or the attention that I think it should get from watch collectors. Thanks to Saltzman's Watches for lending in this Superocean 44. I have a discount code with this family-owned AD in Rhode Island. They carry a number of awesome brands, entry-level brands, luxury brands. If you're shopping any of the brands that Saltzman's carries, definitely take advantage of my discount code. I've linked their store below. Now, let's talk about the dial. Subtle, almost gritty matte texture in an olive green tone. I love the dial here. I love how it contrasts with the rose tone B logo and the bronze color of the raised Superocean text and the tip of the running seconds hand. I think the color scheme is extremely attractive, but there's something interesting here. The tonal mismatch between the dial and the ceramic bezel insert. The bezel insert is more of a traditional forest green, not necessarily an olive green. And I just know that that's not a mistake. That had to be intentional. And I've not seen other brands necessarily do this where they introduce different hues of the same color that are different enough to be noticeable in one watch, in one color scheme, in one execution. So this is kind of an oddball in that aspect, and it matches the rather retro, different, and distinctive identity of the overall design. Now notice the raised nature of the dial text. It's quite tall, it's ever so slightly reflective. I think that's indicative of nice detail work. The overall watch is very legible with these massive square hands and markers. I like how the hands and markers are polished and beveled, so in natural light they reflect a lot of light. But in low light conditions, there's a lot of surface area for the BGW9 lume, and the lume is awesome. It's exactly what you would expect and what you would hope for. Very potent. So legible, funky, cool, nice dial details, and all of those details are viewed under a slightly domed sapphire crystal with excellent ARC or anti-reflective coatings. I think Breitling is an industry leader in doing effective and satisfying ARC. I have to say that if this exact watch did not have this great ARC, It would be lame. It wouldn't be, I don't know, it wouldn't be one that I'd be interested in. I love how crisp and clean the dial details look under this sapphire crystal. I love seeing that iridescent blue sheen of direct light sources reflecting off of this crystal in a very muted and stylistic way. The ARC here is awesome. Now, one of the other things that I think makes this watch underrated and comfortable is the thin profile. I measure this at 12.3 millimeters from the case back to the top of this curved sapphire crystal, and it feels exceptionally thin considering the 44 millimeter diameter of this diver with 300 meters of water resistance. So it wears very flat, very comfortably, and I would say slightly smaller than the 44 millimeter dimension would suggest. And that's true with other size versions of the Superocean. I've tried the 42, I've tried some of the other sizes, and they definitely wear a little bit smaller. So if you are concerned that 44 sounds too large, maybe you like, watches between 40 and 42 millimeters in diameter, definitely go try one on, because I think you'll be surprised. I think you can pull off a 44. Now here's the bezel action. It is one of the best tactile actions that I've handled under $7,000. I would rank it better than any Seamaster from Omega. I would rank it a little behind the Pelagos from Tudor, the Black Bay from Tudor, who I consider the leaders of tactile bezel action at the price tier. Now the rubber strap on the Superocean is very comfortable, slightly textured, nice and thick. You cut it to the rough length, and then you adjust the fit with this sliding micro adjustment system in a new clasp design. Really love this strap and clasp. Now inside the case, this is the reason why the watch gets some flack from watch collectors. Inside the case is a traditionally finished caliber called the Breitling 17. It's a COSC certified SW200 from Sellita. I know, a bit of a letdown in terms of prestige, in terms of power reserve, in terms of even looking at the competition. Other watch brands like Omega or Tudor or Grand Seiko, they do manufacture movements at or close to this price point, and there's even brands that do it below this price point like Oris. So sadly, this Breitling just has a classic Sellita, but to be fair, parts are readily available for that caliber. It's a simple service for any watchmaker. It's thin, it's solid, it's well made, it has a track record, so it's not all doom and gloom, but the Superocean is not an affordable watch. It's nearly $6,000 full retail, so you would expect to have a manufacturer movement inside. Now there's a new Superocean Heritage that Breitling debuted last year, and that has a manufacturer caliber, which is awesome. But it also cost over $1,000 more, so that can be a deciding factor for some watch collectors. Some of you watching will go, yes, I would absolutely buy this watch if it had that manufacturer movement with the nice power reserve and whatnot. And there's others of you watching right now that go, you know what, I'm going to find a deal on a Sellita-based version and save myself some money and still get an awesome luxury priced Breitling. So it kind of depends on where you fall on the line. But this is the biggest reason why the watch just doesn't get the love from the greater watch community. It comes down to the movement for the retail price. Now, outside of the movement selection, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world, honestly, I do think the watch brings the heat in terms of the fit, the finish, the details, the wrist presence, the retro history, the loom, the legibility, the bezel action, the clasp adjustability. I think this watch has teeth. It has soul. It's fun to wear. It's one that I regret selling, that I'm considering a rebuy of. So if the movement is a deal breaker for you, I suggest taking a look at the new Superocean Heritage. That has the manufacturer caliber that ironically was developed by Breitling and AMT, which is the bespoke arm of Sellita. So you can pass up this Sellita for a nicer one that's more expensive. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching today. If you're shopping Breitling, definitely check out Saltzman's watches. Take advantage of that discount code, and I hope to see you back here for another watch video.